What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another one. And in this video, we're going to be doing another review on one of my more recent purchases I've made. We're going to be reviewing the Abu Garcia Max X. And I tell you what, this thing is super cool. The Abu Garcia Max X, it's one of their more budget-friendly bait casters. You can buy these things for right around 70, 80 bucks, maybe a little bit cheaper if you find it on sale. And they're pretty cool. It's a 7-foot medium heavy rod, and you get the combo with it, so you get the reel as well. So for 80 bucks, I thought, why not give it a try and give you guys a little review on it and see what we think. So we're gonna jump into it. We're out on the kayak today, hoping that we can catch some fish, and the wind kind of picked up, so we got a little bit wet on our way out here, but nothing that's gonna stop us, so let's jump into it. So as we start to break this thing down and talk about it, we're gonna start with the reel. Now the reel has a black and red finish, which I think looks really nice. The grips on it feel pretty good. You know, they feel a little bit cheaper than like your higher end bait casters, but not too bad. It's super smooth when you reel it in, so there's no issues there. It does feel like mostly a plastic body. The crank is obviously a metal, and you do have some more plastic up top here, but the main components are, you know, seem to be made with pretty good quality stuff. I just don't know how long the outside will last if you bang it up on stuff and everything like that, but it seems to be all around not too bad. It has 5 bearings in it, which is, you know, pretty reasonable. I wouldn't say it's bad or like super good, but it gets the job done, and that's kind of what we're looking for in a budget setup. Along with that, it has a 6:4:1 gear ratio, and it'll actually reel in 25 inches of line per turn, per crank with your reel here. So for each crank that you give it is 25 inches, which is kind of a lot. I feel like you could get away with using crankbaits and just about anything like that with it. So all around, I don't have anything really bad to say about the reel. I have a 12-pound monofilament on here, and it seems to be casting pretty nice. I would definitely recommend turning those brakes up to start, because when I first got it, I had the brakes all the way down and I was casting, and I did get a couple bird's nests. Nothing horrible. I was able to get them out in just a minute or two, but that did happen. And once the brakes were turned up a little bit, I didn't have any issues. All around, I do really like the reel. I think it has a really slick presentation. I think it looks really nice with the black and red finish on the reel, and you get a little bit of the gray into the red. Obviously, this would be like your cheaper version of like the Abu Garcia Max Pro. And if you guys do want to check out that video, I'll link it in the top here, because I did do a review on that one. And that is a really super cool bait caster as well. But there's a lot of similarities here. It doesn't seem like they really chinsed out on anything. The rod is super nice. There's a little grip here. I feel like this could be a little bit bigger just to kind of hold on to, but all around not too bad. With it being that 7-foot, you know, medium heavy rod, it definitely gets the job done. You know, I like a longer rod. I think I've stated in other videos, but 7 foot is more than enough. And like I said, especially when you're looking at like budget setups, I don't know if I have a weed or a fish. Nope, I had a weed. When you're looking at budget setups, you can't be too picky on like the length of your rod and that kind of thing. But the action is super important, and I feel like the medium heavy action is definitely sufficient here. You could handle just about anything with a medium heavy rod, and that's actually what I like to run with most of my bait casters. So I wouldn't change anything about that. You do have the nice handle. This little handle here is rubber. Kind of has some nice grips on it, and it feels good. And then you do have your hook holder right here. I'm not a huge fan of this, actually, and I don't know why they do it like this. Maybe it's for like speed or something like that, so that you can hook your, you know, put your hook on it really fast, but it's really hard to get the hook in there. So most of the time what I've been doing is just setting it like that and then cranking it in, so it's not actually in that loop, which is okay. Just a little bit different. I do have a couple of rods like that, but not my favorite. But all in all, not bad. It's got a really nice finish to it. It goes from this like kind of graphic looking red to just plain red, and it looks really good. There's 9 eyelets to the rod, which is more than sufficient, and you get to the end and they're really small, which really helps with your accuracy, and you can really rip this thing out there. I'm throwing a Senko with just a little egg weight on it, and it casts really good. I'm actually really surprised as to how good this thing casts. Like I said, I've had a couple of backlashes, but nothing too bad, honestly. I would say though, for me personally, one of my biggest cons to this reel is that you cannot buy this reel in a left-handed reel. Okay, they don't make it. I looked everywhere. I looked on Abu Garcia's website, and I think it's mostly just because of the budget, you know, friendly setup that it is you have to get this in the right-handed reel, which is okay. Typically, I like to use my bait casters with my left hand, but I don't really have any problem switching over because I do cast with my right hand like this, and then I just switch over. So if you do a real left-handed like me, you can probably make it work, but I do kind of wish that this was over here just for simplicity and just fishing with what I'm used to, but it's not too big a deal all around. Right now I have these breaks at about halfway. I'm gonna cast this thing out as hard as I can and see what happens. I'm kind of expecting a bird's nest, but we'll see. No bird's nest. I probably could have cast it a little bit harder, but it definitely got the job done. We'll give it another try here. Let me crank it in. All right, here we go. We're gonna give this guy the hardest cast yet. Wow, I have to say, that's pretty impressive for a rather new fishing pole, especially a Baitcaster. I didn't put my thumb on that at all, and there's no bird's nest. That is pretty sweet. That makes me like this a lot more because that can be pretty hard to find in a Baitcaster. Now, if you threw braid on it, it could be a little bit different. It definitely could bird's nest with some braid on it. I don't really ever expect, you know, your cheap bait casting setup to, you know, cast as far as your higher end stuff, but all in all, it does seem to be pretty good. I think it's going to stand the test of time. It seems like they didn't put too cheap of components on here. I would say the outside of the reel would be the only thing that would concern me. For the price, you really can't beat it. You're getting a lot of like higher end looking stuff. The rod is definitely something to write home about. The rod seems to hold up really, really well. There's really good sensitivity at the tip, and all in all, seems to be a really good setup. I would say if you guys are looking for a cheap bait casting setup, you really can never go wrong with Abu Garcia, and the Abu Garcia Max X has definitely met my expectations. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.